Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning in for this lesson. I'll be talking about the Beatles' recording of Little Child that they did in September of 1963. The song was written by John and Paul in early September 63, and they intended for Ringo to sing it. It was inspired by a British folk singer named Elton Hayes, and Paul actually took a line from one of Elton's songs, the line, "I'm so sad and lonely." Well, Ringo refused to sing the song, so John sang it as an album filler. And about that, Paul has said, Ringo didn't have a large vocal range, but he could handle things with good cambrio and spirito if they were nice and simple. It had to be something he could get behind. If he couldn't mentally picture it, you were in trouble. Certain songs were inspirational, and you just followed that. Certain other songs were, right, come on, 2 hours, song for Ringo, for the album. September 11th, the Beatles are at EMI Studio 2. They take 2 attempts to try to get the rhythm track for Little Child. Doesn't work out. Next day, September 12th, they're back at Studio 2, and they do 5 more attempts, and finally they get it. So it's like 7 takes to get the rhythm track, basically. Then they want to add tracks. Well, they're dealing with a 2-track tape machine, so they have to bounce from one 2-track machine to another 2-track machine in order for John to play harmonica throughout the entire song. And that takes John 6 attempts to get that right. They do another 2-track to 2-track for Paul to add piano throughout the song, and he gets that in 2 takes. Then they decide, man, we should have left a spot for a harmonica solo. So they go back and record 12 bars of just the rhythm track again in order to create a space for John to play his harmonica solo. Another 2-track to 2-track bounce for John to play that harmonica solo and for Paul to add a little more piano. So that's basically 18 takes with bounces. On September 30th, they try to splice those 2 together, the rhythm track and the 12 bars, and they don't quite get it right. But they do get it right on October 3rd, and then they have to do one more bounce from 2-track to 2-track for John and Paul to do the lead vocals. And they get that done in 3 takes. So it's basically 21 takes to get the final product done. So more recording was done on Little Child than any other Beatles song up to that point. It was mixed on October 29th. And basically, it's 4 generations away from the original take, so you can't really hear the guitars at all. So this lesson will sort of be my speculation on what was originally played by the guitars. Fun facts to know and tell. It's the only Beatles song that has John Lennon playing harmonica throughout the entire song. They never played Little Child live, but it was released on November 22nd, 1963 in the UK on Parlophone on an album called With the Beatles, and on January 20th, 1964 on an album called Meet the Beatles in the USA. So that's the backstory. Let's get started. As was the modus operandi back then, I'm supposing that John Lennon played his Rickenbacker 325 on Little Child, so I have this one plugged into my 64 AC30. Now, we have to probably surmise that John's rhythm track was basically what Paul was playing when he overdubbed the piano, because it feels the same way. I tried to EQ the piano out on the original recording. It's very difficult because the guitar and the piano operate in the same frequencies pretty much. But I'm guessing dollars to donuts that this is what John did. So in order to play the song, first of all, you'll need these chords. You'll need an E7. You'll need a A bar chord. You're going to need a B7 up here. A B7 down here. An F sharp 7th, and right before the bridge, a straight E chord. So the way it feels to me, John's rhythm is basically, 1, 2, 3, and. 1, 2, 3, and. But on beat 3, I'm surmising that it's kind of muted. So if you think very slowly, I mean, he'd keep the E7 or whatever chord fingered, but kind of just lifted up on the string. So something like, kind of the same rhythm that he ended up doing a month later on I Saw Her Standing There. So let me just go through a verse like that with Ringo's not feeling well, so we've got his son today, Zach. So Zach, tempo's around 151, 152. So a verse would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, go. Now you notice sometimes I'm not muting that on beat 3. In my charts and tabs, I wrote it out exactly what I thought where those little beat 3 would be muted and where it would not be. So again, the second verse, I'll do it slow for you. Verse 2, sounding something like. Now on the bridge, it's a straight E chord, one measure of B7, 2 more measures of that straight E, to F sharp 7th, to B7. And note, the bridge is just 6 measures long. So a bridge with Zach, 1, 2, 3, go. All right, and then nothing different on the verses. Here's verse 3. Now on the solo section, the part that they overdubbed or redid, I should say, and then spliced together, it's all 7 chords and just kind of straight 12-bar blues. Again with Zach, here's the solo section. 1, 2, 3, go. And then bridge 2, thanks Zach. Bridge 2 again, I'll do that slow. Bridge 2 would be just like this. And on the way out, verse 4 and the way out. One more time with Zach. Doing good, buddy. 2, 3, 4. Fades out. So that's my supposition on what John Lennon would have played originally on the rhythm track for Little Child. As was the norm back then, I'm assuming that George Harrison played one of his Gretches, probably a Gretsch country gentleman. This is a Gretsch country classic, a 62 country classic, made in Japan. It's a great guitar. If you're looking for a Beatles guitar, I highly recommend this one. It could sit out there in the studio for a month, untouched. I pick it up and it's still in tune. The Rickenbackers I own, and any Rickenbacker I ever owned, after one song, it's out of tune. So this is a great guitar. They also make a country gentleman that has the mutes, but those mutes are kind of useless, really, except for the song Maybe This Boy. But so this girl is just plugged right into the same AC30. So we can assume that George is playing pretty close to what John played and what the piano mimicked afterwards, but probably a little more subtle, because that was George's personality back then. Maybe perhaps hoping to get to do some licks or something on the song later. But in order to do George's part, let's play these chords in E7 like this. An A bar. We'll need a B7. And we'll play his F sharp 7th up here. Right? And I think those are all the chords for the verse. And again, I'm assuming that it's the same kind of rhythm, just 1, 2, 3, and. Changes a little bit on the bridge probably. And where George has a chance to kind of lay into a chord, I bet he did. So at the beginning, just basically, just like John, they were probably just both having a rave up. But on a verse, when you get to that A, probably that feels like George to me. So again, with Zach, this would be George's part. 1 on a verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on a bridge, if we know George, and it was a straight E, I bet he played this one. That version of an E. And then you could clearly hear that the piano is playing a straight B. So I'm guessing the bridge for George would be just this E to a straight B, E again, up to his F sharp, and a B7. So again with Zach, a bridge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks, Zach. And then coming into a verse, I'll do George verse 3 very slowly, maybe like this. Now in that solo, again, it's just 12-bar blues, so you could just imagine George just rocking out. Let's do it with Zach again. Solo, George's part, 2, 3, 4. Into bridge 2, and here's bridge 2, maybe really slow. 3, 4. And then on verse 4, just like the other verses, but I bet where John was playing a straight E, George was still playing an E7. Guesstimation, but it would sound like this on the way out. One more time with Zach. Like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks, Zach. Something like that. Didn't want to stop, did you? Well, I have put it all together in a sound alike, and I've mixed it guitar heavy. I did play all the piano parts, and I accentuate on some of the cool Paul parts on piano, so you can hear that. But for the most part, this is a guitar mix on how I think it could have been. So do have a look at this.
Child, won't you dance with me? I'm so sad and lonely. Baby, take a chance with me. Little child, won't you dance with me? chance with me. Oh yeah, baby, take a chance with me. Oh yeah, baby, take a chance with me.
Well, there you've seen and heard how I feel the guitar parts probably really were driving that original rhythm section. If you'd like to know exactly my thoughts, you can download the charts and tabs at mikepachelli.com. And I really appreciate your consideration in supporting my work that way. So have fun playing this great old song, because that's what playing the guitar should be all about. I'm Mike Pachelli, and until next time, thanks for hanging out with me.